All right, guys. Well, just to kind of give you a quick announcement, what we're going to be doing is in October, we're going to do a little change of pace. I'm going to be speaking on today, and then Minister Raymond is going to come back on second Sunday to kind of continue his teaching about the covenants. Then I'll come back on third Sunday, and then either Minister Raymond or Kevin, they'll do fourth Sunday as well. And the reason why I'm doing it that way, because I'm going to take just a slight break from the Luke series. And you guys know, if you've been with me for some time, I always like to talk about things dealing with what's going on in the world as we lead up to the election. And so I'm going to do that here. I truly believe that, you know, we have to develop what's known as a biblical worldview. We have to. And I've never seen it so polarized today to where we're torn. Especially, and again, I know when I make these statements, I'm not talking about just us as blacks, but it's really tearing us because, you know, it's systematic on how they position politics to us. And so, you know, we're living in a very volatile time where to be on one side of the political aisle can literally get you killed. You know, I'm being real, you know, and especially as it relates to where family members don't agree. In some circles, you just don't even need to talk about it because it can lead to very nasty arguments. I mean, name calling. In some circles, especially if you work at a predominantly black job, you could possibly lose your job. You know, because, you know, you come in there with a Make America Great hat on. You know, let's say you work at a Republican establishment and you got on some, you know, blacks for Harris or something in there. You know, you may lose your job.
Yeah, that's true.
It's on both sides of the aisle. I mean, we're living in a politically crazy society. And so my goal is that we have what's known as a biblical worldview. I've always told you this. The goal of Christianity is not just you become saved and your sins are forgiven and that's it. It is that you develop a biblical worldview. You come to see life through the Bible. And what tends to happen is once we become saved, that becomes the end of our Christian experience at that point. What I mean by that is our sins are forgiven, yes, and then we tend to take our own understanding of things and kind of live our life out from that understanding as it relates to the rest of the world. And I guarantee you, one of the quickest areas that we find that professed Christians struggle is when it comes to politics. Politics. Because you will hear on both sides of the aisle that what this view states is a biblical one, and that you are hearing that God is for Trump, God is for Kamala, God is for the Democrats, God is for the Republicans, and then each one has their own arguments. Each one has their own arguments. And it can be very volatile in today's time. And so I want to kind of talk about it because I think that it's important that we really, really develop this worldview. Now, again, I don't want us to approach this as pushing some type of political party. I don't want us to do this. I would love for us to have a discussion. If you guys remember when we talked about biblical perspective, narratives, we kind of had it in a discussion type tone. You know, because I have a lot of things that I want to cover, and I'm going to do it on this Sunday and also the third Sunday leading up to the election in November. Because here's the deal, when you go into that ballot box, you better not leave God outside of it. And think that you're going to escape. You better not go into that ballot box thinking that God is riding on an elephant or a donkey. No, it says that Jesus is going to come back, how? On a horse. And neither one of the political parties represent a horse. But we cannot act as though for those of us, and this is something for myself, to say, well, you know, I don't want to get involved, I don't care. Well, you need to care. Because I heard something, and it really convicted me For those who say, well, you know what, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to, I'm just not going to get involved. I don't really care. And what the guy was saying is, he says, how can you not vote, but you still going to live in Babylon? He said, that's like saying, well, you know what, I ain't going to vote for Nimrod, but I'm going to stay in Babylon and still live. I don't know if that makes any sense. Well, I ain't going to get involved in this stuff, but you still going to be involved in the world stuff. So guess what? You're still involved. You're still involved. And the only thing you could do is just cast your vote. Again, that's the only thing you could do. That's the only thing you could do. I'm not saying you're going to make any change, you're going to make a difference. I'm not going to take it. I'm not here to debate whether or not your vote going to count and all this stuff. I'm not here to get into that argument. But I am here to tell you that we've got to have a biblical approach when it comes to looking at these things in the world. And what I'm saying with Christians, this is the one election. Now, again, I was telling Lindsay this, when it came to in 2008, and again, if I'm giving you these dates, don't worry if you don't remember, in 2008, anybody know who won the election in 2008? Barack Obama. That was a different animal because at that point you didn't really, a lot of people were necessarily kind of deceived on what Barack really stood for because he kind of ran as a centrist. Now again, if you don't understand these words, say, I don't understand what a centrist is. A centrist is somebody who runs in the middle. They're not on one side, they're not on one side. They kind of say, hey, you know what? I'm in the middle. And that's how Barack ran. So a lot of people could have gotten deceived. And in 2008, you still could be kind of on both sides. You could be like, well, hey, I like these social programs here. I believe in that. But you know what? You still had Democrats who were saying, but I'm not for abortion. I'm not for this. You know, at the time, do you know Barack Obama came in and said, I am against same-sex marriage. I believe that marriage is between a one man and one woman. He said, but I do believe that we have to have protections for individuals, the civil unions. He said, but I believe that we need to leave marriage alone. And then he got a second term. And next thing you know, the Supreme Court voted on it. And he pushed it. And his answer, I've evolved. I've changed. So the question would be, where do we go with all of this? How do we begin to look at all of this? Because now we're living in a time where we have two platforms. One platform is pushing their belief in where the world should go or where America should go, and another platform is pushing their belief in where America should go. Please understand that, guys. What is at stake in this election, I'm not going to say is democracy is at stake, because I don't care about democracy. What's more at stake is sin and righteousness. That's what's more at stake here, because we already see where our world is today. You guys have to be able to see it. Either we're going to go further down that path of degradation, or, watch what I'm saying, we can begin to not thwart it, but kind of slow it down a little bit. Or we can just go headstrong in it. Now, let me help you with this before I get started. This is important on why we went over Revelation.
Oh, okay.
Somebody tell me, why do you think, I told you, I would love a little participation. Why do you think the whole expositional study of Revelation was important? Go ahead, come on.
Because it tells the believer, at least us as believers, know what the end is. So no matter what's happening, we know where it's going to go.
Did y'all hear that? That's so important. Biblical eschatology is important. What is eschatology? The study of last things. See, if you have a wrong eschatological, don't try to say that word, view, eschatology. If you have a wrong view of where things are going, you're going to be deceived. Now follow this. I'm going to show you how it's important. Kevin just said it. If you believe in a eschatological view that states this, that before Jesus can return, the world, the Christian must take over the world must become more biblical, the world must become more unified, the world must become that, then that is going to be what you're fighting for. And then that's going to kind of determine your political stance right now. Do y'all understand that? If you believe that Jesus is going to establish these things and fix the ills of the world when he returns, then that's going to affect your political view. Because you will know, as a citizen of America, you're not tasked with saving democracy. Because when Jesus returns, democracy will be destroyed.
All right.
Y'all do understand that. We make the joke all the time, guys. Jesus is not going to hold elections. When Christ returns, we will be under a theological dictatorship by the King of the universe, who is Christ himself, in absolute righteousness, holiness, perfect love, perfect compassion, perfect unity. All of those things will be established in Christ. Do y'all understand it? Do you really understand it? Only Jesus can determine those things. What you're hearing these people promise in this election, whether it be Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, they cannot deliver.
Neither one of them.
Neither one of them. Trump is not going to change the trajectory of the economy, and neither will Kamala Harris. It will not be an opportunity economy. I promise you that. And to Donald Trump, he ain't going to lower it all to where we're going to go back to gas prices being 88 cents back in the 80s. So it's important that we get this. Because, guys, the reason why we have to look at this, because here's the question that we have. Does the Bible have anything to say about politics? Or is the believer free to decide how he or she will determine their own political view? Are you free to decide? What do you think? Do you think the Bible has anything to say about politics? Or do you think you're free to just, go about however you want it? However you want to do it, that you're free to do that. Because that's the leading thought. Let me read something to you right quick, because I don't have this scripture written. It's in Romans chapter 1. I want to show you this in Romans chapter 1 right quick. In Romans chapter 1, at the end of Romans chapter 1, I want you to see this. Now look at what they say here at the end of Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 1, verse 28. Please listen up. Romans chapter 1, verse 28. Now this is when it gets to the third phase of a society that's in the midst of judgment. The first phase of a society that is in the midst of judgment is a sexual revolution. God giving them over to just do all type of passions or whatever they want to do. That's the first step. The second phase of a society under judgment, according to Romans 1, is a homosexual revolution. God then gives them over to commit those things that are unseemly, man with man, women leaving the natural use of their bodies to go after strange passions. And then now we get to verse 28, which is the third phase. Now look at what it says there. And since they did not see fit to acknowledge God, God gave them over to a debased or a reprobate mind to do what ought not to be done. They were filled with all manner of unrighteousness, evil, covetousness, malice. They were full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, maliciousness. They are gossips, slanderers, haters of God, insolent, haughty, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient to parents, foolish, faithless, heartless, ruthless. Though they know God's righteous decree that those who practice such things deserve to die, they not only do them, but watch this, but give approval to those who practice them. That's an important piece right there. Because not only does the judgment come on the people who do them, the judgment also comes on the people who give approval to those who do it.
Right.
You want to know the way, Narada, you give approval to it, who you vote for. If I stand up here and tell you a vote for me means that I'm going to let these criminals free, because I think they were unjustly put in that prison, and we're going to let them free, and we're going to give them another chance in society. So you get in and say, well, man, I think that's a good idea. That's a horrible idea. And then you vote for me, and then I let them all free. You say, well, I ain't the one that let them all free. You're going to be judged. If I stand up here and I tell you, a vote for me, I'm going to restore the woman's right to choose, and I'm going to codify abortion. I'm going to make it be the legal law of the land. Now I say that. And you say, well, they ain't got nothing to do with me because I ain't aborting nobody. But you giving approval to those who do.
Okay.
You will be judged as just as though you did it.
Wow.
But see, again, I know you think, well, I know one person, well, you got to listen to what Trump said, because he waffling a little bit.
Yeah.
But the difference, though, is that we can say clearly, though, one party, that's their platform.
Right.
Okay, if you hear a politician say, taxpayer dollars should go to pay for transgender transitions and people to have surgeries where kids can transition. I mean, you heard it with your own mouth. And you say, well, they ain't got nothing to do with me because my kids are straight. You're going to be held accountable based upon what Scripture says. You get it? Even though Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were a part of the Babylonian government.
Right.
And they could have easily said, well, Uncle Charles, I got to bow, man. I'm a part of the government, but God understands. He know I ain't got nothing to do with that. No, they would have been judged just like everybody else. But what did they say? Out of all the people who bowed, they didn't bow down.
Right.
See, that has to be the believer. I don't care what everybody is saying in society. What people are saying in my family, I ain't doing it. I'm going to stand on a biblical truth. Has nothing to do with party. Has nothing to do with that. It has to do with biblical truth. Now, let me give you this. Let me give you this, guys. Because it's no doubt that we are living in what's known as a post-Christian society. How many of y'all would agree with that? Post-Christian society.
Yeah.
Now look at this. This society is based upon two ideologies, and I'm going to help you with them. The first one is called practical atheism. And the second one is called moral relativism. Practical atheism and moral relativism. Now let me explain what that means. Listen up. Let's look at the first one. Practical atheism refers to a lifestyle or worldview where a person may not explicitly deny the existence of God, but lives as though God does not exist. Practical atheism. You don't deny that there's a God, but you live like there's not one. Y'all still with me? Let's take it further. It is characterized by more of an indifference or a flat-out disregard for religious beliefs in one's daily life or the whole society. In other words, you're really a Christian in name only, but you really don't think that God is involved in my daily life or even society as a whole. But again, and I know you're saying, well, I don't even think that, but it's how we kind of live our lives.
Sure. That's true. That's so true.
Okay, let's keep it on politics. So it don't matter what you do, God ain't got nothing to do with how you go in that booth and vote. It don't even matter. As a matter of fact, Auntie, when you go in that booth, God turned his head. I ain't gonna look. She through yet? She made a vote? Okay, now. God ain't got no, you can raise your kid, Narada and Joy they can raise their kid however they want. If Narada and Jordan come out and say, you know what, Noble gonna be genderless. We're not even gonna assign nothing to him. We're just gonna let him figure out what type of gender he gonna be. That's okay, they can do whatever they wanna do. God, but here's the deal, every Sunday they'll come here.
Wow. That's deep.
Man, God, you know what, man? You know what? Look, I'm totally against abortion. I don't believe in it. But you know what? I believe, man, you can't take choice from people. Because God don't take our choice from us. And you know, you just got to let people choose. So let me get this straight. You're saying we have to let people choose to kill the children or not. That's your choice. No, I ain't talking about that because I'm against it. No, you're not. You're not against it. You're for it. That's practical atheism. You are the believer, but you believe people can love who they want to love. Believe, you know what? I ain't here to judge. Now, I ain't doing it. I don't believe in it. But hey, you know what, man? At the end of the day, you know, mind your business. I ain't got nothing to say about that. You see, that's practical atheism, where God has no direct dealings in your daily life. Or God don't care what goes on in society, because he ain't got nothing to do with it anyway. Listen to this. Practical atheism has become extremely popular in the political arena because it allows you to compartmentalize God while living in a secular society. So when you go to work, you leave God in the car because you went to work the whole time maybe listening to some scriptures.
Right.
I had a sermon on it. But as soon as you get into that job, now man, boom, that guy's about to be this over here. And you blah, you just doing you. You know, it's the kids, you know, they do the devotion before they leave to get them bye, mommy, bye. When they get them blah, they mouth their cuss and they act like fools out there. So when you at school, don't nobody know who you are. If your coworker, man, was to come in here and sit down, they would be surprised you in church. Man, is that Narada over there? I know you ain't in church, boy. Where the lightning? Where the lightning? They would, come on, practical atheism. You get around your family, man, you don't know God. You get around that partner, man, because y'all talking politics, you don't know God. You hate them just like they hate them. But then you get around somebody else, well, you know what, man, I really don't think that. I really think, oh, shut up. Practical atheism. See, when I explain it to you like that, it can hit home. We've all been guilty of it before. Amen. Listen to this. Here's some characteristics of practical atheism, Jordan. It's a consistent absence of spiritual influence in your daily decisions. In other words, them your decisions. No spiritual influence whatsoever. None. You do whatever you want to do. Because you got no biblical worldview, so therefore it's just your decision. It's your thought. It's your opinion. Your opinion rules supreme. Your opinion has placed itself on the throne of your own life. That's your God. Again, Kevin, don't miss it. But you still go to church. You profess to be a Christian. There are many practical atheists sitting in church on this Sunday morning. You are a man that's married and you don't love your wife like Christ loves the church, but you come to church every day. You are a woman that's married, you come to church every day, but you ain't submitting to nobody. That's practical atheism. What I'm trying to say, it doesn't, your spirituality does not influence your worldview at all. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't mean you're going to be perfect, but here's the deal. You're not thinking from a biblical standpoint, man, well, you know, is that even right biblically? No, it doesn't matter. It's just my opinion. What about this characteristic of it? Consistent practice of moral autonomy. What does that mean? This is living with no regard as to what the Bible says, but you solely rely on your human reasoning, societal norms, and personal feelings to govern your life. You want to know how you can tell somebody that's a practical atheist? They always talk about what they feel. Well, I just feel this. Well, I just feel that. Well, I don't think this. Who cares what you think? I haven't heard you say anything about what the Bible says. Because the practical atheist doesn't care. They only care about the Bible when they're in church.
That's good.
Or the third characteristic is you consistently live your life as a nominal Christian. And the word nominal just means that you become indistinguishable between non-believers. Like nobody can tell you apart. You know, it's like what Andrew Warmaker always say, if you were put on trial as being a Christian, it wouldn't be enough evidence to convict you. Or it's a joke that the 16-year-old boy said when he went off the youth camp and you know, mom was worried that she was sending him to a secular camp. You know, he's a Christian boy and he went off to the youth camp. He said, Mom, it was great. I had a great experience, man. Didn't nobody even know I was a Christian. I didn't get picked on. I didn't get picked. And the mom just looked. Somebody went right over your head. I'm around a whole bunch of unbelievers and Raymond, they couldn't even tell.
Right.
I fit right on in with them, man. What about moral relativism? And again, guys, I hope you kind of keep your mind on how this can relate to politics. Have I lost anybody? Practical atheism is first how we approach our political thinking, Lindsay. That this ain't got nothing to do with it. This a black person running. This a black person running. And I don't care what we say, we need to get this sister in office. Or you got this Trump deist complex of thinking that he God and he gonna save everything. That Trump, the Trinity has become four now, and Trump is a part of the Trinity now. That's your political view. Because you think that it's going to be some type of government that's going to save the world. No, guys, you can't do that. It's like what Titus chapter 1 verse 15 says, to the pure all things are pure, but to the defiled and the unbelieving nothing is pure. But both minds and their consciences are defiled. Listen to this. They profess to know God, but they deny him by their works. Wow. I don't want that to be me. But what about moral relativism? Listen to this one. Moral relativism is this. It is a philosophical belief that morality is not absolute or universal, but rather it is determined by individual preferences, cultural context, and societal norms.
Say that again.
It's too much. Moral relativism is the belief that morality is not absolute. It's not a universal concept. Like, in other words, it's the belief that there are no absolute right and wrongs. Y'all get that? Okay. It's church. Y'all ready? Are you ready? Let's think about abortion. This is where moral relativism hits the hardest. Should there be restrictions for abortion on people who get raped or incest? I want you to answer. Because a lot of people will say, well, yeah, if the lady got raped, it's okay to kill the baby. If the brother or the daddy impregnated her, now he's sick as all get out, let's go ahead and kill that baby because she don't need to carry it. See, that's moral relativism. Oh boy. That's hard. Is there any justifiable reason to kill the baby?
No.
See, in a society, look at how we can be. Well, let me think about it. At the end of the day, life is life. And do you think when you stand before the absolute righteous, holy God of the universe, where you say, well, I understand, you know what, you got raped, so it was okay to murder?
Not at all.
Now remember, we're talking about a God where the Ark of the Covenant was getting ready to fall.
Right.
And Uzzah just put his hand forth to balance it. And God struck that man dead. We're talking about a God who put out a law and said, don't you work on the Sabbath. The next day they see somebody picking up sticks on the Sabbath and they say, hey man, we saw a guy picking up sticks, Narada, on the Sabbath. This is in the Old Testament. What you want us to do? God said, put them in the temple and wait and I'm going to talk to you. Guess what God told Moses? Stone them and show them no mercy. But you think that God understands about moral relativism.
Okay.
See, this is where it hits the hardest. Okay. Y'all just looking at me? It does hit hard, guys. Moral relativism hits the hardest when it's somebody in your family that wants to transgender. It's your baby. It's your daughter. It's your son. And you love your kid. But they want to come over here with their partner. They want to sit at the table acting like everything all right. And you're supposed to acknowledge all of this. They about to have a wedding.
Sure.
They done adopted a baby. They want me to christen it. Oh. See, if I don't talk about it like this, you would just look at this moral relativism and say, that's just a philosophical talk. I don't know what you're talking about. Guys, I put this down here. You may not understand these concepts, but we live through them every day. Y'all don't understand how much philosophy affects how we believe. See, we don't really understand philosophy. People who used to have those, why you think even today, does anybody know what's the highest degree in the land? A PhD. Anybody know what the PhD stands for? What does the P stand for? A doctor of philosophy. Because ideas have consequences. And you wouldn't even know that a person who comes up with this concept of moral relativism, that it affects you. You think like it. All of them.
Okay.
Moral relativism is how we justify things. Because guess what? Well, you know what? I don't believe that, but hey, who am I? Even though Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13 says, the end of the matter is, and all that is heard, fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment, every secret thing, whether good or evil. I love what Solomon said. Here's the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. Why does he say this? For God will bring every deed into judgment. Do you believe that? Do you believe that Jesus says you will give an account of every idle word you have spoken?
Man.
But do we really believe? And we think we don't need to trust Christ?
No,
See, no. I want y'all to hear this though. We don't, I think sometimes we play with that because we just think, well, God ain't really going, they ain't how he really going to judge like that. Like honestly, go back to politics. I don't know if he understand, man. This Kamala running. Man, Trump get another chance. I don't think God get it. I mean, I think it'd be good to see a black woman win. And it don't matter in the Bible that you don't see not a single woman ruler. And every time you saw one, it was God's judgment on the society. The one time the woman stepped out of her role and usurped the man, what happened? Y'all tell me. It's over in Genesis chapter 3. It was Eve.
Whole world. That's the whole world.
But you think that God is okay with what's going on in society. Okay. Boy, tough crowd. Kevin did this teaching before. It's Judges chapter 21, verse 25. That's a verse you better memorize.
What?
Judges chapter 21, verse 25. What that verse say? I done quoted that verse so much. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Therefore, everyone did what was right in his own eyes. When there's no king in the land, everybody does what is right in their own eyes. Well, what's wrong with that? Proverbs 14:12, for there's a way that seems right to a man, but in the end, it's the way of death. You can't do what's right. You got to do what's biblical. So guys, look at this. The reason why I started with that, because I want to approach it a little different, because I think there has to be an anchoring thing in everybody's mind when they think about politics. Now, go to Proverbs 14. Proverbs 14. Proverbs 14, verse 34. Proverbs 14, verse 34. This isn't about Democrat or Republican. The moment you came into Christ, the moment all of those identities died with you at the cross of Christ. You will not go to heaven as a Republican, and you will not go to heaven as a Democrat. You will not go to heaven as a black man. You will not go to heaven as a black woman, a white woman, a black woman. You're not going to go to heaven like that. There are going to be no segregated spots in heaven. There is not an MLK Boulevard in heaven. And there ain't no Ronald Reagan Parkway in heaven.
Right.
The only road we know is the street of gold. So we have to understand this, guys. We have to get our minds off of politics. Because the reason why it's so important to get this, what a really struggle with people is, man, I'm trying to, because I got so much running in my head. Because you'll have people who it is. Okay, watch this, Raymond. Y'all, man, please, y'all stick with me. You will have people that are now recognizing that the Democrats, they've been voting Democrat all their life, and they realize, okay, that just ain't right. Y'all listen to me? Do not miss this point. They recognize it ain't right. But yet, they'll never vote Republican. You want to know why? Because they're still Democrats. They're still Democrats. Okay. You're still a Democrat. Because at one point, it's like you recognize, okay, man, they all like, that's all evil. Man, I just don't like them over there. No, that becomes your thing. I still can't do it. It's like I recognize that Satan is evil and he's the devil, but man, I just can't fully embrace God because he do some evil stuff too. You know, it's like, come on, man. Do you realize true repentance is a turning away and a turning to? It's not just a turning away. It's a 180, not a 360. Wow. So what's got to be the anchoring scripture? Proverbs 14:34. What does that verse say? Raymond just said it. Read it. What does it say, Raymond?
Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people.
Let's stop there. When y'all hear that, what do you hear? Anybody? Righteousness exalts a nation.
Right? And the sin gonna pull you down. It'll destroy a nation. It'll destroy the people.
Do what is right.
Righteous. Now again, y'all hear people saying, do what is right. I want you to keep it in context of the verse. Righteousness exalts a nation. It doesn't say righteousness exalts a person. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. What do you hear when you hear that first? Why am I saying this has got to be the anchoring verse as you approach politics?
Because it affects the whole country.
It affects the whole country. I love that. It affects the whole country. So think about it. My political view has to be, I want to be politically aligned with whatever party is more closely aligned with exalting righteousness while more lessly aligned in promoting sin. You get it? Notice why I said it like that, because I ain't going to find no perfect party. But which one, when I go in that voting booth, when I'm going down that ballot, which one closely aligns with promoting righteousness versus the one that's promoting sin? Because if I promote sin, it's a reproach to any people. It's going to bring a society down. If I promote righteousness, it'll exalt a society. Now, come on, guys. That's got to be our anchoring verse. So if anybody is coming to me, and again, am I looking for the perfect candidate? No, ain't none. Ain't none. But what if I got a candidate who is promoting sin?
Right. Right.
Okay, y'all talk to me. What would be a candidate promoting, and don't give me no name, promoting sin? What would be promoting sin? Promoting sin.
What is it like you said? First one died abortion.
Okay, there we go. We got one. Now, why is promoting abortion sin? It's murder.
Murder.
Right.
What about the transgender?
Okay, come on, mama. What you said? Transgender. So if I got a party that's telling me, I think that Jasmine should have a right, if she want to chop her breasts off and become a boy and become Jason, she got that right, and I support that, and we need to let the children be. And they're telling me that. They're telling me that. And I hear that. Is that promoting sin?
Yes.
Absolutely. And it's destroying
Now, so y'all quiet. Is that promoting sin? That's promoting sin.
Yes.
Well, because let's see what the other. Well, that person a racist.
Okay.
Is that party promoting racism? What do I mean by that? Again, you know what? We stand for absolute racism.
Right.
Them black folk need to be in their place. Them N-words need to be in their place. And we're going to bring them back here. This is what we stand on. Vote for me. And I'll put them Negroes back in the 40s. I'll put them back over in Africa. Now, that's what they run on. Would that be sin?
Absolutely.
That would be absolute sin. Is there any party in America that stand on that?
No.
That that's their platform?
Not today.
That's what they tell you, but is that their platform? See, here's the deal. I'm not talking about individual racists. There are some racist people, including black folk, that want to see white folk dead, and white folk that want to see black people back in chains. That's true.
Right.
But do we have a party that it promotes that?
No. Not today.
Do we have a party? Well, one is going to hold, systemic racism. They're going to put that in place. Do we have a party that promotes systemic racism to the point where you live in a society right now that you cannot do anything, that if you can't do whatever you want to do, you can't do that because that party is promoting that platform? Do y'all get why I'm talking like this? Y'all tell me why. Come on, Kevin, what you think? Why am I talking like this? Because I'm trying to show, because I know what you're saying. Well, they just hit back. They just do this. They just do this. Everything that I'm naming about that, what is all of that really kind of like? That could be subjective. It could be more individualized. Are y'all following me? Versus a party, Jordan, that says that's my platform.
Right.
Oh, okay.
It's not outlined in there. It would be like you outlining it and you put up your party's mission statement or your core values for what your party believes and stands for, and you adapt, okay, we stand for abortion, we stand for LGBTQIA+, then you know that this is what that party stands for, this is what they're promoting, their agenda to promote all that. You know that that's sin.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, you know that that's sin. There's not a party today that says, okay, well, we stand for segregation, we stand for racism, we stand for marginalizing all black people or people of color. There's not a party in America that does that at all.
And you want to know what'll blow you away?
Yeah.
Do you know there was a party that stood for that?
Yeah, the very one.
The very one that everyday black folk follow, the Democrats.
The Democrats. Yeah.
Go study our history. Go study our history. Go study out what we know as the Reconstruction. Do you know every Democrat in Congress voted against blacks being able to vote, women being able to vote? Every Democrat in Congress voted against it. Do you want to know who the Ku Klux Klans were? All Democrats. You want to know who every governor in the South who set up segregation? You want to know what party they came from, Mom? Democrats, every single one. As a matter of fact, when the South wanted to succeed, who were all those people? They were Democrats. So we actually had a party that ran on that platform. Segregation today, segregation every day. George Wallace. Tomorrow. Do you realize George Wallace made that? He said segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation every day. Do you realize that when they desegregated the schools, you had your president today at the time says, we don't want our schools, Narada, becoming jungles.
Yeah, 1970. He was against it.
No,
That's thematics. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. Guys, when you vote, you have to think in those terms. Let me tell you this, guys. With a believer, it's never about partisanship. It's all about righteousness and who's going to stand against sin. You're not going to get it perfect. But I hope I've made a good way of showing you there's a difference in somebody being racist as an individual versus them saying we're going to run on a platform of racism.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay. If you do, is there a political party that stands up and says we ain't helping no poor people?
No.
None. I'm sorry, we ain't doing nothing. It's not one today.
See, that was the narrative.
Come on.
And see, that was the balance act of morality or social programs. Saying, okay, a lot of time on the Democrat side, they were saying basically all this stuff that we're going to give you based on social things, stuff like that, black, they want that stuff. Mm-hmm. They lean to that and they forget about the morality part of it. So the part on social is that if the conservatives, they pushing that back, less government, would that consider to be like
less social programs, less
be considered a sin. They because they're not giving.
No.
They're not giving the rich, giving the poor, whatever you mentioned.
Because again, and we're going to get to that, but that's why you have to know the Bible. You will have to know that it is not the government's job to help the poor. That's not why God. That's not why God ordained government. See, but if you don't know that from a biblical perspective, you would be, well, man, they're not helping them pulpit, so that is sin.
I want to say, I always supposed to help your neighbor. Who your neighbor?
Go read your Bible. You can find it in the Old Testament. When God would tell the people, when you plant your crops, leave some on the outskirts. He said, don't glean your fields all the way to the end. He said, leave the some on the outside. Watch this. So when the poor person or the foreigner or the stranger comes in, they can be able to help themselves to the gleaning of the crops.
Yeah.
So who did God put the responsibility of aiding the poor? That's an individual thing that the people in the nation are supposed to do, not the government. Because when the government does it, it becomes socialism that then leads to communism.
There you go.
Have I lost y'all? So that's the anchoring verse. And then I want to give you this, because this anchoring verse is Proverbs 14. Because with that's a perfect segue to understanding the purpose of government. See, you would think, okay, because hopefully maybe next Sunday, the third Sunday, I'll deal with certain issues. But I just want you to kind of, if you got to have an anchoring thought, Ma. If you just have an anchoring thought that righteousness exalts a nation, sin is a reproach to people, that's the anchoring thought. And then now, the second anchoring thought is this: what's the purpose of government? That's the second anchoring thought. You got to get the purpose of government. Now, we can find it going all the way back to Genesis chapter 9. In Genesis chapter 9, here's what happened. Genesis chapter 9, coming out of the flood, verses 5 through 6, it says this. Here's what God says: and for your lifeblood I will require a reckoning. From every beast I will require it from man. From his fellow man I will require a reckoning for the life of man. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. For God made man in his own image. Now, here's what God establishes. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man.
Right.
Capital punishment. So if somebody kills somebody, man, God has given authority to men, humanity, kill him. See, a wrong biblical perspective of what God will deal with him. No, he told you to deal with him. Because see, you will get upset if I say, well, you know, that dude shot up that school. They should have took him out back to school and just shot him. Oh, come on, Pastor. Man, come on. Man, that's just, man, come on, man. That's tough.
Look how old he was.
Look how old he was. Man, that little kid, man, up in that area, man, he's a little kid. No, you should have took that kid out back and shot him. No, because you know it ain't no. See, this is how you know people don't know their Bible. Ain't no age. God doesn't. Do you realize when Achan did what he did, he stole that stuff? God said, "I want you to bring his whole family out there, his wife, his kids, everybody, and stone the donkey, stone them all. The dog don't escape the judgment. If you got some fish in the house, they getting judged too." God would tell Israel, when you're going there, don't spare anything.
That's all.
But see, this is what makes us soft, because we don't understand the Bible. Do you realize, look, if you don't believe, look at what in Ecclesiastes 8 verse 11 says this: because the sentence against an evil deed is not executed speedily, the heart of the children of man is fully set to do evil. Do you get what that verse says? Because you don't execute judgment speedily, you just make people realize that, hey, man, if I kill 15 people, man, I can stay on death row for about 20 years. I got 20 years of good living paid at your expense. And then at the end again in my life, I'm going to get a steak dinner. I'm going to go out in style. Can you imagine what you would do to crime if people murdered people and the very same day they were shot and killed? You got caught. You got caught. You didn't get no handcuffs on you. You got a gun to your temple and we blew your brains out and we kept it moving. You think? But see, when you hear this, you have people who shut me off.
I say so.
Guys, that leads us to that purpose of government. Romans chapter 13 gives us that purpose. Starting with Genesis 9, Romans 13, Paul didn't just pluck this out of the air. Listen to what Paul says in Romans 13, verses 1 through 5. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists authorities resists what God has appointed. And those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear for the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval. For he, the government, is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain, for he is a servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's right.
I don't know if y'all see that. What's the purpose of government? What's the purpose of it? To restrain evil in the society. That's the purpose, guys. And the moment the government strays from its God-ordained purpose is the moment it becomes the greatest threat to society. Wow. And listen to this, guys. Watch this. Watch this. Look, if you keep reading in verse 6, for because of this you also pay taxes. For the authorities are ministers of God, attending to this very thing. Pay to all what is owed to them. Taxes for whom taxes are owed, revenue to whom revenue is owed, respect to whom respect is owed, and honor to whom honor is owed. Wow. You want to know why you pay taxes? So the government can execute wrongdoers. Raymond just said the guy's taxes are not for social programs. So if I have a politician who is telling me that they're going to do more social programs, they're going to do more of this, and they're not going to execute judgment on the wrongdoers. Now watch this. They're going to let smash and grabbers go free. They're going to let people who enter in illegally go free. Illegally.
Take care of it.
Can I come to your house illegally? I'm Uncle Charles' nephew. I'm Uncle Oz' nephew. Let them see me coming through their window. He come Uncle Oz, he come downstairs, get some orange juice, he see me coming through the window trying to get in there. You're not going to allow nobody to do that in your home. No, you're going to come through rightly. You're going to come through that door. You're going to ring that doorbell. There's a right way to do it. Nobody is saying, hey, we don't want you to come in. Again, is there any party that is saying we want nobody to come in?
Right.
Some of you think, well, I think, did Trump say that? No, he didn't say that. He married to an immigrant.
Yeah, right.
J.D. Vance got an immigrant. No, what are they saying? Come in the right way. And if you come in illegally, we're going to send your behind right back to where you came from. What's wrong with that? No. But do I have a platform that stands up and says, we're going to let everybody come illegal through the Rio Grande, jump over the wall, I don't care how you get, fall out of a plane. They got to come in boats, man, from the river. As long as you got here, you can stay. Is that God?
No.
No, taxes are not for social programs, guys.
And they're not for the transhumanists.
No, for God's sake, they not for that.
They just,
And you have people who will sit here and you will hear me today. When I say no, you want to know what your tax dollars should go to? Beef up that military. I want the best military that we ever got. I don't care if 60% of the budget is going to that military. I want a strong military, because guess what? That's what the government's supposed to do. I can't fight against Putin or the Ayatollah. I can't fight against that. I need to know we got a force that can stand up against tyranny in the world, and that's going to fight against that. That's what I need my tax dollars going to. I don't need my tax dollars going to a little social welfare program that's going to help the illegal immigrant who coming in who with 10 kids talking about I need medical assistance. Go back to Honduras. Go back to Haiti. Go back to Mexico. That's just mean, Pastor. Come in the right way. Let me end with this. Go to Matthew 25.
what?
Matthew 25. Matthew 25. Because I know we're talking about social stuff. It's important that you have a biblical worldview. Very important. Very important. Are you there? Go to verse 14. Now, somebody got verse 14? Somebody read it out loud so the camera can catch it. Matthew chapter 25, verse 14.
25:14. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property.
Stop right there. His property. It will be like. Well, what is the it will be like? What is Jesus talking about? He's talking about the kingdom. Correct? That's what he's talking about. And in context, in Matthew chapter 24, what has Jesus talked about in Matthew chapter 24? Now, you may not know, it's okay, but in Matthew chapter 24, he talked about what it's going to be like in the end times. This parable comes after that. So what I'm trying to get you to see is this is a parable in context. It's something we're going to see kind of like at the end times or something. Now, again, this is what I want you to kind of see with this. Now look at what he says. Raymond just read the first part. For it will be like, the kingdom of God will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted them with his property. Now, who would be the man going on a journey there? The Lord. Why do I say that the man going on the journey is the Lord? Why do you think that's the Lord? Because the Lord is going on a journey. What journey has the Lord gone on? He ascended. Come on, what? Yeah, you got me straight. He ascended to heaven. Okay, has Jesus been on a long journey? Yeah. Oh, pretty long. Pretty long journey. A little bit walkabout. Oh yeah, it's long. But notice this. Who called his servants and entrusted them with his property. See, guys, when you think about economic stewardship, the first thing that you got to realize when you think about politics and all this stuff, it all belongs to God. It all belongs to the Lord. It all. And then it gets even deeper than that. Look at what it says here in verse 15. Somebody read just 15. What 15 says?
And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1. To each according to his own ability, and immediately he went on a journey.
Okay. That destroys socialism and communism right there. Anybody know why? To one he gave 5, to another he gave 2, to another he gave 1. Well, that ain't fair. How come he got 5? How come he got 2? You just missed it. To each according to his ability. You want to know why you have what you have? Because that's your ability right now that you can maintain it. If you want to get more, increase your ability.
That's right. Yes. More skills.
Some of you could be sitting here mad because I need to have more. And you know what? That's why I'm voting for Kamala, because she going to give me an opportunity to come. She going to give me $50,000 to go there. And he was a businessman who broke it down beautifully. He said it don't cost $50,000 to start a business. A guy gave a whole breakdown. It was Chad O. Jackson gave a breakdown. He has his own plumbing business, employees work with it. He said it cost me roughly about $5,000 to do this plumbing business. He said, because the main thing I had to pay for was the plumbing license. I had to take the test to be a master plumber. Then he said, as I was working as a plumber under somebody, I was collecting my own tools at the time. He says, what Kamala is telling y'all is a lie. She not giving nobody $50,000 to start no business. But it sounds good. Because the person who get the $50,000, is that even according to their ability? Some of you right now need some money so bad, and if God was to give you $50,000, you blow it. What type of business? Or you'll come up with some derelict business.
T-shirt business. T-shirt.
Yeah. It's according to your ability. If you want more, increase your ability. And God will, according to this verse, God will give it to you according to your ability.
Yes, he will.
But guys, there are going to be some people, Nancy, in this world who have less, Kevin.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And we don't serve a spread the wealth God. Mm-hmm. But the story continues to blow you away. Because when you read it, and I'm not going to have time to read it because we're coming to the end, to the one who had 5 talents, y'all tell me the story. What did he do?
He went and made 5 more.
He went and made 5 more, Narada.
He managed it well, and he increased.
He increased.
Yeah.
The guy who had 2, what did he do? He doubled his. But look at this guy. What did the one who had 1 do?
Buried.
What did it say? He took it, he buried it in the earth,
Right.
and then when the Lord returned, he tried to give back what he gave him and said, I know you're a hard master, you know, you reap where you didn't sow, and I just gave you back what you gave me. So guys, the question there is, when we think about economics as it relates to politics, it all has to do with waste and production.
Yeah.
What are you doing with what God has given you? Are you wasting your talent?
Right.
Or are you being productive with it? Because that's where the judgment is going to come at.
Amen.
And then here's the kicker of this story that I think we have completely missed. What did God do with the guy who had 1?
Cast him out of darkness.
But what did he do before that?
He took
Say it, Kevin. What did he do?
He took what he had and gave it to the
No. Who did he give it to?
one who had the most talents.
The one that was productive.
Jordan. He took what the one who got 1 and gave it to the one who's the most productive, the rich person.
Right. Yeah.
So do I have a platform that says we're going to take from the rich? The rich need to pay their fair share, and we need to give it to more. We need to have everybody have an opportunity because we got to take from the rich. Is that a biblical principle?
No, it's not. Actually, it's work because it brings in envy, and that's what I'm starting
Yes.
across the board.
Yes. It brings in envy of the rich, even though you want to be rich. That's why it's so diabolical. You hate Elon Musk, but you want to be Elon Musk. You want Elon Musk's money. Do you want to know what the biblical principle is, Narada? The guy who's not productive,
Right.
you take what he has and make him even more broke.
Right.
In order to give it to the rich person who is productive. That's the biblical principle. That's the biblical principle. And guys, we know it even in society. The broker you are, the more you pay for stuff.
That's true. Pay more interest, more.
The broker you are and the more less stewardable you are, you pay more for your stuff. If you have Harbor credit, if you sit here and your credit a 410 or something like that, or 503, you're paying more interest for the thing than the guy who's sitting there with $2 million in the bank. His credit is an 830. He get the thing 0% for the life of the loan.
Yeah.
And you say that's not fair. No, that isn't. That's biblically fair.
That's right. Hey, that's so true.
Yeah.
Let you go get an apartment. You know, you go there, they gonna tell you, hey, you gotta put a deposit down. Let your credit be bad. Your deposit, oh man, it's gonna be about $3,500 for your deposit. You come in there with good credit, oh man, we can get you in for $200. But that's not fair. No, that's absolutely biblically fair. Because you are a wasteful person. No, God honors production, guys.
Yes, he does.
But when we think about politics, are we looking at policies now that promotes, you're going to get it even if you do nothing?
That's dangerous. Don't work.
That's why the homeless community is growing astronomical because of the same factor. Because they know, man, these people gonna take that.
Yeah.
They gonna give me everything I need.
Now I'm going to get a free tent, get to live on the side of the road for free, pee in a cup.
I ain't gotta worry about that.
You going to give me some food. Every time I walk by you, I'm probably banking about maybe $50 a day, maybe $60 a day. That's a nice little wage because you ain't got to pay for nothing. And then meanwhile, Kevin and Raymond gonna come down there to the soup kitchen and cook for me free. Gonna give me free hot dogs and steaks and stuff. They gonna put on. I'm helping the poor, yeah. You know, and so I'm gonna eat a good meal.
There's no incentive.
There's no incentive whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about people who are crippled, people who are disabled. I'm not talking about my seniors in here. You've worked your wage. You have retired. Uncle Isaac, Charles, Auntie Linda, Mama, y'all done put in y'all time. You done rent up and down that road. You gonna give me my retirement pay. We're not talking about that. But we talking about these sorry 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds. 50-year-olds walking the street. Guys, I've seen some of the most in shape people on the street I've seen in my life. I mean, there's one guy, he was asking me, man, that dude got muscle, man. I mean, he cut. I'm like, man, dude, you look like you could be pulling some bricks somewhere as a mason. You didn't look real malnourished to me. Man, that's a loss.
I don't remember where he came from, but I had my eye on
Yeah, we got to get him.
Maybe he wanted to
Get some of that word. Guys, and do you know, as I close, we can take this, because we're going to talk, I'm going to try to talk about gun ownership. What does the Bible say about these things? What does the Bible say about private property? What does the Bible say about borders? What does the Bible, abortion should be easy, but we still got to kind of talk about that a little bit. That's what I'm talking about when we approach politics. And then we take that into the booth with us as we vote. But it's understanding these things from a biblical perspective and not get caught up on race. Let me tell you something. Whatever you do in this election, don't vote for race.
Please.
With the one candidate, you don't vote for race, and with the other candidate, you don't vote because you think they're the savior. Each one of the candidates are good candidates to bring in the judgment. Either one of them. Trump is an excellent candidate to bring in God's judgment. Kamala Harris is too. So that's not why I'm going there. All my job is as a Christian is I'm going to look at the politics and the policies. What aligns close to the Bible? And even if I got to do it trembling, I ain't never done it before, I'm going to make sure that I stand on the side of the Bible. I'm going to tell you guys, I don't think you should sit this one out. If you need to get registered, register. Because guess what, guys? I think this is a big one for us as believers, because there's a lot there that's being stated that, and I'm not talking about politics, I'm talking about just being stated where believers now are saying, well, I can do this and believe this. And no. The divide is coming. Because I showed you in Revelation, the time is coming when there is going to be a leader who everybody will worship. Everybody will. And no longer now, you cannot have a side to where you say, okay, I believe this political party, but I kind of lean over here. No. If you ain't leaning over here, you ain't with them, and they'll drop you like a habit.
So you're going to bring in the other side of the equation about world event, about what's going on.
Yeah.
Leaders, whoever gets out of it, they're going to have a barrier too.
Yes. Yes. Because guys, there's a lot going on foreignly that honestly, I'm going to just be real with you. That's my main thing now. I'm not even really worried about the social things that are going on, because believe it or not, man, neither one of these candidates is going to help you in your pocketbook as far as like you alone. You got to take care of your things, and what you need to do is stewardship. But you want to know what I'm looking at? Who can handle this stuff politically with what's going on overseas? Foreign policy. That's what I care about. I don't want a government that's sending $300 million to Lebanon. And we got people right in North Carolina and Georgia who getting $750.
You have to tell your young people about, do they want to see their kid go off the wall like a Vietnam?
Yes.
On that era?
Yeah.
What was going on? And all the young black men had to go over there to fight a war. They didn't know that.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Excellent point, man. So guys, we're going to talk more about it on the third Sunday. Raymond's going to come with us talking about those biblical covenants. So he's going to do that on second Sunday. We're going to come right back and talk. So don't miss third Sunday, because I won't do any of this opening. What we going to do on third Sunday, we just going to come hit it. Bring me your topics too. If I miss something, say, well, Pastor, can you speak about this too? About this policy? What is that? Okay. I want to hear that, because so when we start on third Sunday, we just going to go right into it. Y'all got the foundation, right? Proverbs 14:34. Understanding what the purpose of the government is. That's your foundation. Now we can get into the other parts of politics, and hopefully by that time, we'll all be ready to go in November. All right, that's it. All right, well, let's get ready to do the communion right quick as we get ready to leave. We're going to close up. Thank you guys for joining with us. Hope that you heard something that blessed your soul. Don't forget, you will be able to tune in to us not only on next Sunday as Minister Raymond comes talking about the covenants, but on third Sunday as well. Join with us on Eternal Purpose Fellowship. Make sure you like the broadcast. Make sure you share it out. Until the next time, God bless. All right. Where Mr. Walsh go? Oh, he way up there.